if we don't know these things, then we read about our own history and don't identify ourselves or identify with ourselves because we have been lied to. And no, you're not going to really find the comfort until you find the truth. It's not going to happen any other way. There's no benefit for us without work. Yes, it's Moorish Latin. And then Philip said all Moors would be called Spaniards. So now you got this history you're reading about Spaniards and don't know what you're reading about yourself. But when you go see what they look like, then you what? You see yourself. It's interesting, isn't it? You go to China, you go to anywhere, you see yourself. So you ask, well, what about the European? Well, that was a laboratory creation that happened right here in the Temple of the Sun and the Moon, South America, right there in the laboratories that were abandoned. And they were abandoned because of diseases that we didn't have prior to that. Yeah, they had them because they're lacking, period. Now, that's the Now, the thing is, it's not to have hate because Drew said, learn to love and not hate. You cannot hate this man because that keeps you into the victim mode. Once you have understanding of who you are, who they are, then with love in your heart, you can fix it. But it's too much hatred in the heart because we keep walking around like we're victims. And the irony of that is this. We're the ones who started slave trade. We had them in slavery first. All right, he's ready now. We had them in slavery first. So listen, I don't want to get more into that because I know Brother A.A. Rashid, who just came from Europe, got something to say about that. He's passionately ready to do that. I do want to say this one thing. I did email that we were going to do something with Thanksgiving, right? And I told you guys, you brothers and sisters, of course you celebrate Thanksgiving because it's a celestial vibration of giving thanks for the harvest from the earth. Because you're going into the winter months where it won't be producing, right? And that we should not throw the baby out with the bathwater, but know our history. Yes, we were massacred in the many massacres that we had. And during that feast, heads were cut off while we were sitting unsuspecting. And that did occur. And there was bloodshed right here in Northwest Africa. All right? No, Niagara Falls was when the women's heads were cut off and thrown over the Niagara Falls. That's a different one. Because we've had many massacres. So we did that, so then we think that it's a quote-unquote white man's holiday or holy day. It is not. Do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't let what they did keep you from being in tune with nature. And we'll talk about what Christmas or winter solstice is next week. Right now, without further ado, I want to bring to you, I'm a poet and know it now, right? Brother A.A. Rashid.
Islam family. First things first, I am delighted to be here. Thank you, Sister Roz and family, for inviting me and allowing me the opportunity to share with you a little bit of my experience. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the reason why we're all here is very real. And it continues to reinforce itself the more and more I see that the majority is actually the source house for the foolishness. It is the minority, the small number of folks like us who can see the need for a consciousness that entails nationality, while we are going to be the ones who change the tides of time. And when I went to Germany, and I'll be totally honest with you, the German people are very clean. They don't know too much about deodorant, but they're very clean. And there's only one reason why. It's because they have a national spirit. And that's something that's lacking from even the Caucasians that we interface here with. Here, they are some of the vilest and foul, disgusting, racist, entities with the most lack that I have ever interfaced with were right here. When we were in Europe, we also were with some brothers and sisters who were from London. Brother from London came, and he also clarified what we were saying as well, that the white folks where he's from are very dirty as well. So again, it's the national spirit. Now, while there, I gave a lecture, myself and Brother True Master, we gave a lecture on the, in essence, what is one of the biggest holidays in Germany. It's called the Day of the Dead Saints. And it is a national holiday. It's serious, like nothing opens. So we did a lecture on which, and then ironically, it falls on the last day of Scorpio. And we did it in a town called Ansbach. The hotel that we spoke in has been open since the 18th century. Very historic town. The gentrification that you see going on in your neighborhoods is going on all over the world. Okay? We were in the company of some servicemen who were very much enamored and in love with what we are doing here. Now, let me fast forward to the bad news. While there, I received an email when I'm checking my emails from one of my queens, ex-queen from some time ago, and she said, and we don't interface that much, so when she does interface with me, I know it's something meaningful. So she forwards me an email from a YouTube of me with someone utilizing some footage that was taken with me speaking about how I am not an African and how I am not a slave, and I didn't come here on a slave ship, and that I am the original European. So all of what I said was with technology looped and slowed down, and the gentleman who did it, if any of y'all are on the computer, he is an agent. And if he's not a paid agent, his actions are that of provocative agent, provocative behavior. So it was an attack auspiciously when my brother Black Dot and True Master were in Europe, so as to undermine our anthropological trip to go and call facts to see if in fact we were there, right? So the brother's name is Chief Liberation. Any of y'all familiar with the term? Okay. Chief Liberation is one of the enemies of our concept. And the enemy, the greatest enemy, is the lack of our people's understanding pertaining to language. We have not connected that when you call yourself a particular, and I'm not going to continue to speak about, I don't want to be a 40 or 50-year-old man, gray, trying to convince some niggas that they're not slaves. It's like trying to tell a blind man that thinks that he can see that he's actually blind. And I won't waste my time doing that. We have far more greater things to do and to set a greater stage in the future. Now, every civilized society resides upon and on top of its mythos. If you do not have a mythology, if the Moors say that Prophet Noble Drew Ali reincarnated and showed up across the street, Allahu Alam, that is a credible pillar in any ideological motif. You must have a myth. When you go into a courtroom, you respect the myth that this gentleman sitting up there with a black robe has some form of authority on you. You accept the myth that you can, when all they got to do is turn the lights on and go whoop whoop, you have to pull over, right? We accept all of these myths and all these cultural mores. We wear Yankee hats, but many of us ain't never seen a baseball game. So Moors are being attacked for wearing fezzes. We're being attacked for not wanting to embrace essentially what is a lie, that we were slaves, that our entire existence is predicated on a post-slavery story, and that our whole interaction with this country has been with trees and nooses and Emmett Till and people dying and all these sad stories. So now, when you go to Europe and you, with a little iota of reading, if you've read any of the books that Sister Roz sells, if you read any of the great works by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and all the books, you will see everything that these brothers saying is present and is clear right there. It was a very humbling experience to see the most popular beer in the entire country is called Tucker, and it has a Moor's head on it. When we arrived to Frankfurt, there are the entire town it almost looks like Spain, like a reminiscent of Spain, cobblestone streets, and you can always tell the Moors were there because we put the arches over each doorway. And in the keystone of the arches, you can see these faces with broad noses and distinct ornate design, terracotta ceilings, things that are distinctly not German nor European. You also see in Nuremberg, they have a very small, but it is a red light district. The red light district is at one of the oldest castles in the city. So they bring vice back to where you used to be. You see? In Frankfurt, they have what's called the Skype building. It's one of the buildings. Frankfurt is like a big financial center. It's also a lot of Eritreans and a lot of Ethiopian brothers and sisters and Somalian Muslims, and specifically the Turks. The Turks have been there for quite some time. The Turks kind of like came to Germany in the stead of the Moorish. When we were expelled, many of us went to Germany and established civilizations, and even the quote-unquote nobles of European descent from Germany knew to mix with us in order to qualify and recodify their whole genetic structure. And you can also see in the phenotypes of the people which ones have benefited from our genes being there. So you know how it was a joke that we had over there. Either the women were exceptionally pretty or they were disgustingly ugly. There was no gray area with beauty over there, and it's because the genetic markers are clear of how your influence in the region. You understand? So now, everything that the brother, and I'm kind of like from the show me state. You got to show me, right? Everything the brother True Master was saying was like, I was like, this is beyond belief. That we started everything? Come on, this goes against everything that I've been taught, right? Everything? And sure enough, when you get there, they are telling you that. They are telling you that. German intelligence, to show you what your movement means so much here on 125th Street and Philadelphia and all the places that we centralize and we sit and we pontificate and we speak and we try to build in Brooklyn at LIU. German intelligence knew we were going to be there before we got there, and they followed us from the airport to one of our other locations. My books that I have composed and books that I took over there to sell were auspiciously taken out of my luggage. Okay? They removed items from Black Dot stuff as well. Going from when you arrive to Frankfurt, you have to go on to another flight to get to Nuremberg. Now you have to enter into a whole new part of the airport. Upon entry over there, they knew we were coming. They were making up stuff just to look through our items and whatnot. But it felt so good that I'm constantly representing. I don't even walk around with my state ID anymore. I use my passport for the simple fact that my passport has my picture with my fez on with it. When I went to go get my passport and I wore my fez, and they told me, well, take the hat off. And I said, well, this is not a hat. This is the indigenous headdress of the world's people of color. And it is particularly worn in the U.S. And the gentleman told me, well, prove it. So proof is simply an affidavit. I told him, well, give me a piece of paper. I wrote exactly what I told him, and I signed it, love, peace, and freedom, or friendship, excuse me. And I gave it to him, and that stood as the legal documentation to substantiate that you are whatever you say you are. So now let me segue this into these niggas that want to be slaves, that want to be black. If the credo is true, if you say whatever you say you are is what you are, what is the preoccupation with you having to identify with slavery? A small slice iota in a 250,000 perhaps year legacy of greatness and civilization. Why? Because the entire endeavor, and the brother, when I called him and I asked him what intelligence outfit was he working for, and why did he put my image on the YouTube and disrespect me, after I implored him to apologize, he told me because I said fuck Pan-Africanism. And I say it again, fuck Pan-Africanism, right? Because it does not address nationality. I love the world Pan-African view as an ideology. We can sit and we can be ideological with that. But there is no redemption and no remedy in ideology when we in the world's affairs. When you're speaking about a nation, let's identify with a specific landmass. The Pan-African worldview is that everybody that's colored should be down with each other. I'm down with that. But don't waste my time and make me think that the end all be all is I gotta wear red, black, and green. I gotta love all these niggas that died for me, and then that's the end of my legacy. And I gotta walk around mad all the time, and that's keeping it real. Okay? And many of these people, see, I grew up, I am a nice person now. At one time, I wasn't really a nice person. But when I wasn't a nice person, I still had sense enough to put work in on the enemy. A lot of these Pan-African niggas and these black niggas, they hate white folks, but none of them niggas ain't never put their hand on a white man. See, I was trained in the consummate art of kicking crackers' asses. Okay? So I'm not playing with niggas either. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to stop allowing these fly-by-night Moors acting like you all the way with us, but you're not. You just want to be on tapes. You know what I'm saying? Every time somebody pull out a camera, you switching your position. You understand? People laugh at me sometimes when I wear my vest. Some people don't understand what it is. But once I got hip to this story, this is the greatest story never told. This is the greatest story never told. Anything that the white boy gets behind, he's behind Ma'afa. He's behind selling them books with you hanging in them books. His idea, his greatest wish is to annihilate all of us and have us in storybooks. Just like in Planet of the Apes, they was looking inside the storybooks and seeing all of them inside cages. You see? So, back to mythology. We have to pull the best and the brightest out of our Moorish communities all over the nation, the intellectuals, and begin to create bodies of work which challenge people's perceptions of who they are. And the fourth and fifth generation Moors, the young brothers, we have to be more forceful in our stance that we have to reevaluate all of the doctrine and all of the literature that has been presented in the past. Our brothers who composed all of those literatures, the Circle 7 material, everything from the Prophet on has to be reevaluated. Why? Because all of these men were creatures of their time. And as creatures of their time, these men had to introduce concepts to a people who had never heard of themselves being called gods or masters or anything of that nature. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad removed the word and replaced it with another one. And people mad at him. And then we have all of these. See, you got to look at history as being a living and organic body and a flow, right? Whenever they introduce to you that you were no longer called a Moor in classical literature, that you must be called black or Negro, we were supposed to wonder, what is that about? They have 2 volumes of a index dictionary that gives you the place and the meaning of every word used by Shakespeare, which is really Francis Bacon and all of his material, right? And did you know in some versions of Othello that Othello and the other guy beat the woman to death? There's several versions of Othello. There's several stories about your Moorish influence and your place in Europe. The whole Rosicrucian, all of my brothers who are into the esoteric sciences, do you know that the stories of Christian Rosencreutz are actually stories crafted by Europeans speaking about the influx of the Moors there? This, along with the reawakening and the neo-Moorish Renaissance, as we accelerate forward, we're getting resistance from our own. Okay? So I don't have no problem with nobody not respecting what we do or what we're about, but you're not going to disrespect us either. Right? So the Pan-Africans and the guys that want to be black, that's cool. That's a paradigm that I will even support emotionally. But I know that at the end of the day, even when the enemy comes, he's not going to make no distinctions. He's not going to say who's who. Everybody gets it. You understand? I'm not against my brothers who are into that. But on the same note, we have to see things for what it is. We are systematically being attacked because by our lack of ignorance, our lack of knowledge. And the young brothers who are in this Pan-African movement, something that I see missing, and they try to make it a rap beef with the YouTube thing. They try to interject into our holistic equation like a rap beef, right? And the dude is really don't want it. He's really not built like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a thing where people think because we conscious, they don't take in consideration that they don't know how far we are willing to go to protect our integrity. You understand what I'm saying? So each of these young brothers or these people who are out here, they're also out here acting like they're doing the work, the extended work of Dr. Ben. They're acting like they're doing the work of all of our great literary people, but many of these men don't have no mentors. And you can tell by the manner in which they try to address the issue. The Moors, we have to maintain intellectual acumen. We have to maintain high science in our arguments and how we address all of our issues and allow everyone else to be emotional. I also told the young brother before he removed the YouTube thing that obviously, brother, what you have demonstrated to me is that you were raised by your mother. Because what you did was you're acting like a little bitch right now. Right? And I say that to say this. You can tell who was raised by their mother and just their mother alone because the attitude, you can tell because men, when a man comes up to a man and says, yeah, excuse my language, yo, you a bitch ass nigga, right? You get that from your mama. You get your way of fighting from your mama. You get your first communication in Kemet, Seshet is the one that taught writing, and then Tahuti went and studied. So the first person that teach you how to communicate effectively, even you can tell psychologically if you were raised watching your mother get abused, you have a problem as an adult communicating effectively, making people feel you. You understand? So now I can tell the way that people are fighting, the men in particular, it lacks integrity because we are so gender confused and we don't have a system of mentoring anymore. See, when I fall by the wayside and I lose focus, I have mentors, people that I can consult with, someone I can call and say, yo, this is the problem. This is what's going on. You know, the best and the brightest of the elders, and they give me sound advice. Now, who is this young man's mentor? Now, if he's not a plant, right? He is sure enough making it seem as though he is. And the gentleman has a DVD out called the Metaphysical Breakdown of Hip Hop, which is actually just a remix of what Reverend Valentine has passed him, Bobby Hemmett, and Dawood, who else? Azazel, especially Azariah, have passed down, and Black Dot have passed down in the form of the movie analyzation, passed down to myself, Brother Asir. So the brother calls me a long time ago and says, yo, I need Sonetta. This is why I took it kind of personal. Told me, he said, I need Sonetta and Rich's number so I could get them my DVD. I said, cool. I give them the DVD. This is what we do. Anybody that knows me, I encourage economic empowerment by way of unity. We put on events, we bring people there. It's about not just being conscious and smart, but you got to have a bankroll too. You need a current too. You got to have, in order for us to be planning, if we in a war room planning, we got to have the heat on and the lights. Hello? That's a no-brainer, right? So we got to be about a dollar, being conscious and being annoying about it, being a bum-ass nigga broke. It's about having an economic plan. You understand? So every time I turn around, there's all these obstacles. There's all these obstacles. There's all these obstacles. But on a lighter note, I just want to tell you, brothers and sisters, that these classes are so beneficial, and nobody is doing what we do here nowhere in the world the way we do it here. And we have to protect essentially what we have. You know what I'm saying? And I told brothers and sisters, I said, I don't want to do any more lectures, and I'm serious about that. I want to challenge myself to endeavor to become far more intellectual and spiritual in my writing skills, because I want to put it in posterity so that they do not look back at what we were doing in this period and say that we wasted our time while meteors was flying, black presidents, aliens and shit, and we was sitting here arguing about who the fuck is black and not. Hello? That won't be my legacy. That will not be my legacy. And with that, I don't want to talk your ear off. Any questions about Germany and what we're doing and anything like that, or anyone has a question, a comment, or concern, the floor is open.
Peace. Good to see you, brother. Welcome back. Welcome black, like Khalid would say. You say you don't want to lecture no more, but I continue to lecture, brother. Just encouragement.
No,
and then transcribe it. And then transcribe it to books.
We're going to do classes.
Okay.
And workshops.
Yes, sir. All right.
But the lecture thing has become, it's a circus.
Yeah, well, here's the mic, brother.
It's a circus, and it's like the audience and it's really all of us are responsible. The audiences are not challenging the speakers to bring more of the intellectual, educational aspect to it. People are enamored with this overwhelming desire to know the personal life of others. We are into the cult of personality. We are into vestigial things, superficial shit. Whatever is the biggest, the next rumor. You know? This is what it has become. You understand? It's become, and what happens is it's a reflection of our collective emotional and spiritual cultivation. We are not emotionally cultivated to the highest level of this entity experience. We have so many fucking holes and missing pieces and insecurities that we invite the parasites to our paradigm. They're here looking for all the missing pieces. And if you, I know everybody in here has always been an angel. Even when you were awful, you knew how to see weakness in others because you had them in yourself. And you knew that those holes were segues into you getting your parasitic thing off. You understand? So what makes you think that anything changes because you've seen some DVDs and you read some books that them same trace elements of dissent don't exist and live in the minds of the people who look just like you? What make you think that them same attitudes don't pay the same admission fee to all the spots that we go to? You understand? So we are responsible collectively for all of this. You know? And another thing, if we were far more into our intellectual endeavors, we would start seeing that the white boy don't even make a difference no more. We've created a whole new system of commerce that's speaking about what the white boy is doing to us. And that's another blind, because it's giving them way too much power. Okay? They are smashing atoms in Switzerland, man. They're trying to open up miniature black holes, but I even think all that's a blind. The next level of technology is to interface you into the computer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but my entire family are channels, and sometimes I get downloads of some serious stuff, and it comes in the form of like fictional types of stories. But in my vision, the one that I received recently, I know for a fact that the next level of technology, if it is not here already, is a means by which one person can interface, almost like the Wizard of Oz, can interface with every electrical item on the planet. I know that that's possible.
They actually have a character like that on the TV show Heroes. There's a little boy, and he can go to the cash machines and talk to the cash machines, and the cash machine spits
But I'm
out.
talking about from a localized region where they can put a device on someone to interface with their psyche to every computer, to assimilate information, to make things occur, to do all of that.
Matrix.
Right, all of these things. But I'm like, where are we in the paradigm or in the totem pole of evolving consciousness? Like are we still at the back of the bus? Right? Are we?
Not even on the bus.
It's a rhetorical question. Somebody said we're not even on the bus.
No, but that's
Yeah.
to a degree. To a degree, we may not be on the bus. To another degree, we are definitely way ahead of time. And we take, in instance, the sister who actually created the Matrix. Yeah, Sophia. And you take the other sister who died, Octavia
Who was murdered, yeah.
Yeah, they were way ahead of their time. I mean, the other people, the other scientists look at their work.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
understand?
They study
Yeah.
the realm of myth.
Sure.
And this is one thing that I want to say while the thought is fresh in my mind. What our African scholars, our black scholars have been writing about to maintain in posterity for us is a respect and a veneration for the spirituality and the mythos that have arisen out of Africa. So why is the academia in our black scholastic societies not making this step out of history into the realm of metaphysics? Why? Because the salvation, the technology, the spiritual technology, the keys for redemption are within the mythology. Mythology is high-end psychology. You can't self-actualize yourself unless you have been initiated in the way of thinking. You don't give your children rites of passage no more. They took away your 7 liberal arts, and you don't even teach your sons how to play chess. And that's why they could give you any face and change the face and the color of imperialism, and you happy.
I just have a question. My question segues right on that same topic that you talked about earlier, and it has to do with your trip to Germany.
Yes.
In Germany, it's a seat of occult science. How much information did you get from there?
Well, let me tell you, in Ansbach, we were with a black Bavarian, a brother who was born and raised there, and hip hop is our internet. If he ain't tell us that he was born and raised there, or we didn't hear him speak Deutsch, this nigga had a southern accent. And I said, how did you get that? He said, Yo MTV Raps. Hello? The God current is flowing in the music. Okay? Now, to your question, he pointed out particular doorways all throughout the city that many of them had compasses and squares on. The DVD is being initialized now. It'll be out soon. Brother Black Dot is putting it together. My segment was specifically on Kabbalistic Freemasonry. And the reason why I did it in Germany in particular is because out of, a sense of ritualizing it, but the fact that a great deal of occultism came to Germany from one particular family. And the family were the Colonized family. And you'll see their name in good books on Kabbalah. A German family who were known for being scholastic and learned in spiritual matters. Now, they got it from the Moors. From the expulsion, that's how you got the lesser keys of Solomon. That's how you got sigil magic. And that's why our flag has a 5-pointed star on it. The 5-pointed star is the identification, our psychological identification with our power over the 4 forces of nature. Okay? So, back to your question, there is a tremendous occult influence in particularly where we were at in Nuremberg, because Hitler utilized during the Nuremberg rallies, he manipulated the use of the color red and black in marching and the music by Wagner, in particular a song called the Clash of the Valkyries. So the synchronized marching with the colors red and black and the symbols that they were utilizing, the High Hitler, these are cult symbolisms from the Golden Dawn tradition of occult magic. Now, the thing that you must understand is that this is why my brothers in the black community don't understand that socialist nationalism is an occult principle. All of this nationalism is an occult esoteric principle, which plays off of the concept psychologically of an us against them theory, and that you are the progenitor race and all other races are subservient to you. The Aryan, the Caucasian, could not have created such a concept solely in and of itself. Hitler, and a lot of those books on the Third Reich and them being magical and all that, I'm here to tell you 75% of them hide the blind that the real progenitors of the runic magic were a tribe of Germanic people who were, David McRitchie lets us know, who were people of color, who were the ones who threw the stones, or what we call the runes. The Sig rune from the SS is all from their spiritual system. They were a priesthood and their names were the Armanians. So you always see that sound in all of your legacies. Very auspicious. The night we get there, we gotta go shake a tail feather, go see what they doing in their little club. The name of the club is called Play and More. I noticed that in many of the stores, they say whatever they're selling and more. And they say and more, and more. So I'm like, well, we know how language language evolves and things get lost in translation. It was so crazy that the most popular beer, and there's one thing they know how to make, is beer and chocolate and frankfurters. I don't eat frankfurters, but in Frankfurt, that's where the frankfurter was invented, so them shits is everywhere. And sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is German, it's everywhere, right? So the beer, the most popular one, Tucker, has a brother. We're going to show the pictures on the DVD. A brother, he looked like Leroy from around the corner. Okay? And when the people see you, one thing about these people, which makes them totally distinct from, they might eat us at night or whatever, I don't care what you say, but when people are looking, they are very polite. They are very polite, and if they don't mess with you, they just won't speak to you. But if they want to interface, and the only reason why they really want to interface with us is because of our music, our swag. That hip hop is what is where the God current is. I'm telling you, and there are enemies within it trying to undermine it. And the undermining, and this is the last thing I want to say, pertaining back to the agent provocateur behavior, is the way that we can always tell the agent provocateurs. And we have to start making these people who are standing in front of you with microphones and in front of cameras accountable. Do not come up here and waste people's time speaking about your personal effects and your personal feelings. You all must make these people who stand in front of you give you facts, books, references. Teach me something. I don't want to hear about your petty differences and all this bullshit. Teach me, teach me, teach me, teach me. If you can't teach me, you're an agent of repression. If you can find fault in this brother and that brother, and the brother from Detroit I went to go speak to my elder, my mentor, and about the content of the brother Sarsetti's tape in reference to the Moors. And my mentor said there is much merit to what he's saying. However, it's not always what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. You understand? It's not what you say, it's how you're saying it. So one thing we can't fall victim to is falling victim to the Black Power program, because it's the agent provocateur program. It's there to get you incited. They killed Bunchy Carter. Fucking Eldridge Cleaver got little baby Bobby Hutton murdered, getting everybody hyped up. We're going to kill Whitey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and then when the shit is about to hit the fan, ain't none of them black niggas there. They did it to George Jackson. George was the greatest Black Panther that ever lived. Yes, George Jackson thought that Huey Newton sent him nitroglycerin. George Jackson went and smuggled liquid nitroglycerin from the visiting floor back to the cell with bullets and everything for liberation. They killed his comrade. They, in the prisons, killed 3 police for one of their homeboys. Now that's real talk. Okay? That's why the BGF, the Black Guerrilla family, ritually killed Huey Newton on the day that George died. Hello? Huey Newton died a crackhead. Hello? So the Black Power, can't nobody tell me nothing about that, because I sat with David Gilbert. I sat with Mutulu Shakur. He taught my mother acupressure. I watched that whole paradigm suck all of our geniuses into the federal penitentiaries forever. So where is the intellectualism involved to circumvent that bullshit? Okay? Where are the Moors with all of these legal books creating a firm? Where are we with our financial structures creating finance, jurisprudence? Where's all of that? Let us now distinguish ourselves from the arguing and the bickering with these people who want to embrace with a whole nother slice of our paradigm. Not at the expense of making them feel bad, but we will pray to the Creator that they will find their way over to the role of nationality and see how significant it is to have a better story. I like the story where I am the slave master. I don't like the story where I'm the slave. Hello? That's a no-brainer. I got more time historically to work with as the master than the slave. Hello? It's not hard to figure out. And you can't deny people their mythos. Even if what I'm saying is my mythology, I am as a sovereign entity endowed with that. As long as do what thou wilt shall be all of the law, but harm none. I could do whatever I want as long as I'm not harming you. And the only thing that you have that's really yours is your privacy. When people infringe upon that, then you could cut their fucking head off. That's what a sovereign is. And creating the environment for you to promote that. You know what I'm saying? So all these agents trying to attack Moors in the final epoch, that's the biggest sign of cowardice. To know that your enemy is right there, to know your enemy is right there that's going to kill you, but instead you turn your back to your enemy and address your gripe with the person who looked just like you. You a coward. You a coward. You a coward. And Creator bless us for distinguishing ourselves and not participating in that same mode of fighting. We will be intellectuals all the way to the end and let those people devour themselves. Okay? Islam, family.
Rashid? One question. When you were in Germany, did you come up on any information or any facts about Angelo Soliman?
No. 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 You know, really, that's Brother True Master's thing with the intricacies on the historical pieces. My thing is spirituality and the symbol literacy. There is a tremendous veneration for black spirituality. When we were leaving Frankfurt, this is the first time I ever seen a black Santa Claus. Hello? You ain't know in Europe, the story is there's Santa Claus in Holland. His name is Santa Claus. And Santa Claus is, he's almost like a pedophile, right? But the only thing that can protect the kids is Swartz Petey. The Swartz is Black Petey, and Black Petey is Black Father. So Swartz Petey is the one that walks Santa Claus and makes sure he gives them kids them gifts and nothing else. Okay? Because he's the one who represents civility. His colors in Europe are gold and blue. Right? Now, we are in Frankfurt, they big with chocolate and candy. So they have this candy set with all these saints around it. Then they got Saint Maurice right there, black as he want to be, with blowing his trumpet. You know what I'm saying? They know who you are, and it's amazing, brother. It's amazing to even from an individual perspective, to leave a place where people don't know you and then to have to interface with people based off your own laurels. You get a chance to look at who you are as an individual based off how people interface with you. You know what I mean? And everybody, and I keep saying this is the last thing I want to say, I gotta get home to my baby. The thing that's amazing is that some people don't even speak English, but you know what they were saying when they seen us? Yes, we can. Change. Right? They have went all the way in with the mind control with this meat puppet. This meat puppet that they got everybody thinking is your brother. You hear me? At the call center where we had to go because Sprint ain't got nothing popping in Germany. So I got to go to the call center to call home. The call center was run by an Iraqi brother, right? And he was so desperate to sit down with me and ask me this question. He said, what are the brothers and sisters in America saying about Obama? I know they're happy. This is a good time, right? And I said, well, For some of them, yes. But for others who know what time it is and know how to play a little bit of chess, nigga, if you could play checkers, you know that this is a game, right? If you know checkers, you ain't gotta know no chess. Yahtzee. You could know that this is a game, right? And he said, well, anything is better than Bush, right? But this is the same attitude even over here. See, the greatest piece on the chessboard is the black pieces. It ain't the white pieces. Because the black pieces are the ones that move second. Because they deal with response. And how you respond to a thing sets the tone for the rest of the game. So our black chess piece will be tested. And based off of what occurs, it will set the tone alchemically to your emotionalism, you folks who have bought into the happiness. Same thing make you laugh, make you cry. Okay? They keep showing you the same motif. Kennedy, Camelot, King. Martin Luther King, MLK, King. I showed you in the Kabbalah. MLK means Malik. El-Hajj, Malik. Read the original version of the Manchurian Candidate. And let me tell y'all, you could rewind these tapes in the future, and I'm going to tell you, if it goes down, they already blueprinted you to change the face of the assassin. The assassin is no longer a blonde-haired, blue-eyed sniper from the Marines. They're going to Manchurian Candidate, chip up these military niggas. Yes. And these cop niggas. And they're going to, you better watch Manchurian Candidate again. The operation for Malvo, the Beltway sniper thing, the name Malvo appears in the movie Manchurian Candidate. Stop playing with me. Go ahead, God.
Wasn't Denzel the new Manchurian in the new movie?
Yes, he was.
So they already changed.
Yes, he was. And they
like Malvo in it.
Thank you. And let me tell you something. How they turned him on. They turned him on with food. Why you think all these niggas is mad and angry on these DVDs with all that bullshit? Because them niggas eat chicken and beef and all that garbage, right? And they dying and they run around. They turned him on and they was able to keep Denzel as a Manchurian Candidate by having him eat genetically modified tomatoes, noodles, and no-dos. Watch the movie. We are on them type of regimens of eating. This is why the Chinese bought the country. They own the country. That's why when they introduced the crack cocaine, they introduced the Chinese food restaurant at the same time. Mama's selling box and smoking crack. She ain't got no time to feed you, so the Chinaman gonna feed you, right? So now, all of a sudden, we have all these aberrations in our genus, right? The gender confusion. When I was little, a homosexual was a very rare occurrence. That's why everybody was so freaking out, like, oh shit, your uncle's a fag. Oh shit, right? Now, that is the common parlance. It's in the food. It's in the food. The chip. The niggas talking about the chip. If you want to get away from the chip, stop eating the food of the blacks. That's the thing that's stopping niggas from seeing even the Moorish paradigm. That's the ceiling of awareness that's blocking them, is their goddamn emotionalism that's rooted to the food. Right? And they cheat on us every Thanksgiving and Christmas. They talk all that black shit, but them niggas be right there chowing down on the hog. Now, some people, the only time you get a chance to see your people is during holidays. You get a pass, right? But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying is real. When I came home from the penitentiary, I was almost 300 pounds, right? Anybody know my transformation? You see me from the first DVD to now. I walk my walk. And not until I lost my weight and got right was I able to even procreate effectively. And now I have a beautiful baby girl. Phenotypically perfect. And she's a Moor, and she was born at home, and she ain't got no birth certificate.
Yes. Yes, yes.
So we doing the work. Fourth, fifth generation Moors, the old Moors, sit down in the back. We got you.
That's right.
All right, and with that, I really gotta go.
Oh, well, you know what? We have one more question here, but if you can't take another question.
I can't, sis. I gotta go.
All right. Well, maybe we can. No, maybe we'll continue. He has to go to his baby, and we'll continue, and maybe we can still answer the question for you.
Thank you very much for your attention. Islam.
Oh no, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really, I did. And so we'll make sure that you're gonna get that. Copy of this. You know, we were on the internet, Harlem Rising, right? All right. Peace and love. Give love to your family for me. Give them a big hand, please. Is Dooley around? Abdullah.